I grew up in a house with four kids, and so peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, that was just a staple. As I was looking at Hecla stock this morning and thinking about the idea of investing in Hecla stock, I was thinking of Hecla to an American investor, certainly a silver bug. It's like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches growing up. These are the four themes, the reason that I'm excited about Hecla. One, it's silver today. If you're a product producer, Elon Musk, for example, he needs to produce cars, he needs to produce satellites. He's got a lot of stuff that involves silver, physical silver. Well, he needs cars to roll off the production line this month, not 3 years from now or 5 years from now. If maybe if we can get this project permitted, 5 years from now we might get some silver. No, you need silver today. And so in America, you'd be looking at potentially the largest silver producer in America, which of course is Hecla. The second theme number two, I'm interested in mining companies that are focused on both producing silver in America and then expanding and exploring for additional silver resources in America. That's Hecla in spades. They also have an interest in Canada. They're also the largest silver producer in Canada, which is not a bad thing either. So all of Hecla's properties are in Tier 1 jurisdictions, North America, America, Canada. Theme three, I'm focused on, because of what's going on geopolitically, China shutting down access to critical minerals, etc., focused on mining companies that are mining critical minerals with the idea that those mining companies are potentially could receive U.S. taxpayer money in some form or another to help them increase production, expand production, etc. The idea is leveraging Uncle Sugar's money, which of course is our money as taxpayers. Hecla is mining four minerals that are on the 2025 U.S. critical minerals list. We've got silver, lead, zinc, and copper. And so that's an exciting factor about Hecla. And then the fourth theme for me, and this just my preference, for stocks that I'm going to buy and hold potentially for a long time, I'm putting the bulk of my portfolio into large cap, certainly mid cap or larger, NYSE listed, NASDAQ listed, NYSE ARCA, the major mining company. There's a place in a portfolio for the exploration miners, the emerging miners, etc. In my opinion, the bulk of a mining stock portfolio could be better off in some of the larger companies. As a suggestion, you could pause the video at this point, read those bullet points. In my opinion, they're all worth reading. They're all reasons that I invest in Hecla. This is Hecla's website, well worth a look. Lots of information there. This next series of slides. This is the corporate presentation after their last annual, the general meeting, and just some highlights. Now, on this slide, Hecla is showing us the top 10 shareholders. And if we add up these percentages here, it's about 45. So about 45% of Hecla shares are held by not only institutions, but major institutions. There's BlackRock and Vanguard, Van Eyck, State Street, significant investors, and a significant percentage of the shares held by those investors. So this map shows us where Hecla has their properties. The three blue properties, these are their primary assets, major producing mines, and then the green ones are their exploration properties. This slide ties two ideas together. Along the horizontal axis, we have the grade of the silver resource. And so the higher the silver grade, the farther the mine is over on the right of this chart. And then along the vertical axis, we have the years of remaining reserves at any given mine. And so the higher up on the vertical axis, the longer that mine will last. And so what we see inside this red ellipse is that Hecla owns three of the highest grade, longest reserve life mines out there. Again, all of this is in Tier 1 jurisdiction, North America. This slide is showing that Hecla leads their peers in leverage to the price of silver. And so reasonable to assume that a price increase in physical silver will show up in the share price of Hecla stock more quickly and perhaps a larger percentage, a larger move than some of its peers that don't have as large of an exposure to silver. This slide, I'm just sharing this to show that Hecla is actively working to expand and improve their existing assets. They've got a goal of finding for every year that they are operating, mining, producing, taking metal out of the ground. Their goal is to replace what they have mined with at least 1 year, if not 2. So ideally, find enough silver to replace everything that was mined plus some. And these are the projects that are helping them work towards that goal. In this slide, Hecla is showing us that they are on the low end of the cost. What does it cost a silver miner to get silver out of the ground? Hecla's on the low end of that scale. This again, Hecla's showing us this is their near-term 2026 exploration projects. And again, focused on extending the life of their existing mines, improving assets, increasing production from existing assets, and again, add 1 to 2 years worth of resources for every year that they mine. New projects coming online. In this chart, what I'm showing, or what I want to focus on here, is the estimates going forward for earnings per share. If we look back, Hecla hasn't been doing all that well, but we don't have to go back very far. But where this was, $20 silver, $25 silver, and, Hecla didn't have much, if anything, in the way of earnings. Now here we are with, silver's holding steady at 70 plus. I think today it's at 80, 80 something, maybe 86. And here's 41 cents a share, 86 cents a share, so a double in earnings going forward and short term going forward. So Hecla's got some growth in short term on the horizon. Now we're into the charts. This is the daily time frame. Hecla's pushed up into its 50-day moving average, broken through that level, and established, I would say, has established the 50-day moving average as a support level. Let's zoom in a little bit. This candle, that was 12th of May. That's a doji or a bullish hammer finding support on the 50-day moving average. And so that's bullish action. And now we've got price working on resistance, trying to push through that prior high. Similar to the silver chart, silver video that we just looked at, we've got a technical downtrend, the high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, but we did not get another lower low. We got a higher low, and now we're pushing up towards what could be a higher high, i.e. Hecla back into an uptrend. Capitulation volume, this is very similar to silver. This chart very similar to silver. MACD heading up into bull mode, which suggestive of a uptrend. Energy is elevated. In the weekly time frame, more of the same. MACD in bull mode, currently on a sell signal and not obviously heading up into a buy signal, but we've got this building volume, and that's a bullish sign. Energy rising off the bottom. So not as bullish in the weekly time frame. Let's look at the moving averages. This is 10-week and 40-week moving averages. And so there's price pushing up through the 10-week moving average, looking for support above that level. Monthly time frame, when price pushes into new territory, and it's not obvious, there's not an obvious resistance level, round number, there's not an obvious price target. A lot of times what will happen is a previous price range will be doubled. And so in this chart, that's what I'm showing, is that we had this big price range, not big in price, but big in time. So that's 2008 to 26. Is that 16 years, 18 years? Long time. And when this price range ended, when Hecla broke through that price range, it doubled, actually pushed up through, more than doubled, though we can see that price found resistance at that double and then pushed higher. Of course, that big spike coincided with silver going to 110, 118. And then again, I'm showing another double of the range, which coincidentally caught the top. Caught the top of that price spike. A very bullish volume building in this time scale. When I was looking at the accumulation distribution indicator in this time frame, I was remembering that the top 10 investors in this company, the top 4, it's BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Van Eck. How much would you bet me that they recognize what Hecla's about to do in the next few years, maybe even sooner, and they're making significant investments in this company? We could go look at their portfolios and see, have they been buying significant amounts of Hecla recently? I would guess that the answer would be yes, based on what we're seeing in that accumulation distribution indicator. This is in the quarterly time frame, just showing the potential for Hecla. $47 a share, that was back in 1968, $47 a share. Silver certainly was not $80 an ounce as it is today, and headed higher, in my opinion. What's a reasonable share price for Hecla if silver's at $120 an ounce, or $220 an ounce, or $420 an ounce? Just saying. So, peanut butter and jelly, Hecla Mining Company. Talk to you soon, folks.